Madam President of the Assembly, esteemed delegates, civil society representatives, ladies and gentlemen. I'm honored to address this 24th session of the Assembly of State Parties on behalf also of First Vice President Aitara, Second Vice President Lapini Gansu, and the whole court. When I reported on the activities on the International Criminal Court before the United Nations General Assembly on 11 November, the President of this General Assembly, Ms. Annalena Baerbock, stated that the court does not, on its own behalf, but in defense of the principles of the United Nations Charter to protect us all from the gravest crimes. State parties, therefore, cannot remain silent. Indifference will lead to a world in which might makes right. We are profoundly grateful to those state parties which have been actively supporting the court in the last months, openly or discreetly, lending political backing as well as material aid through their companies which make the operations of the court possible in the current circumstances. This presidency has sought to maintain a dialogue with as many states as possible and has traveled to capitals from all regional groups during the past year. We are particularly grateful to those states that have welcomed us and enriched our work with their views. We will continue our diplomatic outreach in the months to come. The values underlying the Rome Statute, as articulated the preamble, are common to the entire humanity. Committing to universality is therefore vital to reaffirm those values and thus to strengthen the court's legitimacy. The court will continue its effort to increase the number of state parties and appreciates the commitment of our civil society partners in raising awareness and promoting universal ratification. I believe the issue of regional representation is a key in this respect, and I encourage this assembly to continue actively discussing this matter. The court, for its part, will continue with regional seminars and other universality initiatives. Madam President, last year I have recalled before its distinguished assembly the looming dangers for this noble institution: international law, international justice, and eventually humanity. I have also pledged on behalf of all women and men who work for the court that we would have never given up to coercive measures, threats, sabotage, or outrage. Both the prediction and the proposition came true. Today, 9 elected officials, including 6 judges, have been designated for sanctions by the United States, alongside with terrorists and drug traffickers. Their personal and family lives are being unsettled, and their ability to conduct financial transactions disrupted, also in the territories of state parties, including in Europe. 9 elected officials, including 1/3 of the judges, as well as the totality of the ICC presidency, are subject to arrest warrant issued by the Russian Federation. Just a few days ago, it was reported that the investigative committee completed its investigation and placed these elected officials on the wanted list. As far as we know, these officials have been indicted and arrested in absentia, and hearings are being held in their absence. This will have an obvious impact on their personal security. These coercive measures plainly aim at undermining the existence and the reputation of the court and integrity of its judicial proceedings, and the safety and serenity of the officials. The response of the court has been absolutely unambiguous. Our independence and impartiality are our polar stars and remain unaffected. Our loyalties are only with the Rome Statute and international law. The court has taken several measures to mitigate the impact of these coercive measures and strengthen our resilience. Most of these measures remain confidential to ensure their effectiveness, but I would again like to thank states that are working with us to find solutions. Let me be explicit. We never accept any kind of pressure from anyone on issues of interpretation of the statutory framework and adjudication of cases. Any dispute concerning the judicial functions of the court shall be settled by the decision of the court, reads Article 119 of the Rome Statute. We encourage states parties to resort to timely consultations under the statute if they identify problems in the execution of requests for cooperation. The court also recalls that the Rome Statute provides for legal avenues for states to pursue the value underlying the Charter of the United Nations without infringing on the independence and impartiality of the court. Madam President, the achievements of the court this year speak for us unequivocally. In the face of the unprecedented levels of workload and amidst the attacks against it, the court is acting expeditiously and effectively in all stages of proceedings: investigations, pretrial, trial, appeals, and reparations. I pay tribute to our staff in chambers, the OTP, and the registry for these results. Everyone is acting with dignity, resilience, professionalism, and abnegation. We are all bound together by the awareness of the gravity of the moment and the firm determination to protect at any cost the values on which we have solemnly sworn. We consider ourselves accountable to any and all victims, particularly children and women. We are committed to our missions and thus the duties enshrined in the Rome Statute. I have provided the full overview of the court's activities to the Assembly in writing. I am only mentioning some key developments. The pretrial division has issued numerous arrest warrants of great importance and complexity, emanating from several situations across continents. Most of the arrest warrants remain under seal until the judges decide differently. In any criminal court, confidentiality is key for orderly conduct of the proceedings. The seriousness of the judicial function, and the appearance of independence and impartiality. A new regulation recently adopted by the plenary of the judges, which standardizes the existing practice of pretrial chambers, provides that all applications for arrest warrants or summons to appear must be classified as secret or under seal and cannot be reviewed. It is for judges to decide on a case-by-case basis whether to make the issuance of arrest warrants public, including in order to interrupt criminal conduct, deter other crimes, or maximize opportunities for arrest. In the Sudan-Darfur situation, which was referred to the court by the United Nations Security Council, the chamber has convicted Mr. Abdurrahman, a leader of militia, for 27 counts of crime against humanity and war crimes. This case concerned crimes committed in an armed conflict in 2003 to 2004, which have taken the lives of and forced the freeing of hundreds of thousands of civilians, including children. Many of those who were displaced were unable to return. 1,600 victims have participated in the trial. We trust this judgment will light a little spark of hope for the many who are suffering in the ongoing conflict at this very moment. The case against Mr. Joseph Kony in the Uganda situation has marked the first instance in absentia confirmation proceedings at the court. In the situation in the Philippines, the surrender of Mr. Rodrigo Duterte was the first from the Asia-Pacific region. A new surrender in the situation in Libya is imminent, as if realized, a new confirmation proceeding will commence. The court acknowledges with gratitude the cooperation in the arrest and surrender of suspects of the concerned states. When states cooperate with the court, regardless of whether they are parties to the statute, they nurture justice, the rule of law, and the values that bind humanity together. Madam President, the court is committed to improve its workplace culture, and the leadership is applying zero-tolerance policy against harassment, including sexual harassment, as well as discrimination and abuse of authority. The presidency and the plenary of the judges, as well as the court as a whole, take this issue with absolute seriousness. Where we had authority in line with the legal framework, we have held accountable those who needed to be, including an elected official this year, in order to protect affected staff members swiftly, impartially, and in compliance with due process. The court is also working to improve its internal systems and processes, as well as on the Charter of Ethics. We have also released court-wide core values. The court also appreciates the leadership of the presidency of the ASP with the state parties in line with their authority on the matter before it. Everyone must be accountable, elected officials and staff. This, I strongly believe, is essential to protect the court's resilience and credibility. Staff also deserve that any misconduct or unsatisfactory conduct is dealt with appropriately in line with the applicable framework. I would like to also encourage staff to continue focusing on their core duties with serenity, with trust in the applicable processes. Madam President, in my office at the court, I have a piece of calligraphy with the words of Lao Tzu, a Chinese philosopher from the 6th century BC, which roughly translates to, "A grand image does not have form." It means that grand things do not have a shape which our eyes are able to see. We humans tend to focus on things that are immediately before us, and in doing so, we neglect looking at the bigger picture or matters that are of fundamental significance. I respectfully invite all of you to look at the grand image that underpins our work, the cause of humanity and justice, which has no boundaries. They are universal. Now more than ever, we must turn our eyes to the unseeable suffering of countless innocent civilians. We must redouble efforts to defend human dignity. I call on states, including states not parties to the statute, and all persons to stand united with the court in defense of humanity. Organizations of civil society have accompanied the court hand in hand since the very beginning of the 50-year-long process that has led to 17th July 1998 in Rome. We need you more than ever. Your thirst for justice is the thirst of humanity. We know that the current circumstances are also affecting you, but we beg you to continue working for our cause. Better times will come. To borrow the words of Nelson Mandela, a winner is a dreamer who never gives up. We must remember that we are all working for a cause, a grand, albeit unattainable cause. We must continue to work for this cause, to provide hope for humanity, and to realize a more just world that is free from atrocities, where future generations peacefully coexist. Thank you very much.